You just fucking talking, man. Let me hit the weed.
You always want to hit the weed.
Yeah.
Thirsty. What you got on this weed, man?
Lips and fingertips if you're gonna let me hit it.
That ain't enough, nigga. Get the fuck out of here.
Man, go on, Thirst, man. You, what the fuck, man?
I don't understand it, man. This nigga pop up every...
The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, Tokers and Tokecats. Welcome. It is Thursday, May 16th, 2013, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Welcome to the show. Hope you're having a good day. We're having a good day here at Rolla J Studios. All sorts of news to get to, and it doesn't look like my like my chyrons didn't turn out right. Well, that's okay. We'll deal with that later. I was sure I saved that. Oh, well. On today's show, we've got all sorts of interesting things coming up for you. We're going to take a deeper look at the concept of marijuana withdrawal. There's the pioneering researcher on this is a man by the name of Dr. Alan Budney. And yes, that's really his name. And after the show yesterday, I decided to take a deeper look at his research dating all the way back to 1999. And I found some pretty interesting data that we should take a look at. So we'll take care of that in the Radical Rant today. Also on today's show, we're going to get into that topic of children being taken away from users of marijuana, specifically medicinal marijuana. And today, Reason TV came out with a great video that features the story of Daisy Bram, the California medical marijuana patient whose audio of the children being ripped literally off her breast by police went viral a year ago or so. And we'll play that video for you today. And we'll follow it up with a request video. Someone had requested The Flower a few shows ago. Found a copy of that, and we'll play that for you today in our Half Past segment. Also on today's show, we're going to go behind the headlines. Representative Lou Lang out of Illinois has a medical marijuana bill. He is bragging about it in the paper in St. Louis, Missouri, and talking about how it could be a model nationwide for medical marijuana in other states. I'll tell you why that would be an awful idea when we get in behind the headlines. Also today, Bago Schwago will be calling in with our Groovin' Thursday Daily Toker tune. We got an artist named Cal E that we're going to be playing. But first, we get to our 420 radio headline news, where a new study finds that marijuana is good for emotional pain. The Washington, D.C. City Council is taking a look at decriminalization. And in Washington State, they're taking a look at rules. They'll be producing today the rules, the draft rules for the recreational pot market, and why the state's pot czar thinks medical marijuana might end up being a loophole that'll need to be tightened up or closed down. All that and more coming up on today's Russ Belville Show. Stick around.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
The
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
This is your 420 Radio News for Thursday, May 16th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Study finds marijuana buffers against negative psychological effects of social exclusion, from rawstory.com. Research published online May 14th in Social, Psychological, and Personality Science has uncovered that marijuana buffers people from experiencing social pain. The four-part study, which included a total of 7,040 participants and 3 methodologies, was based on previous research that found an overlap between physical and social pain. Acetaminophen, which is used in over-the-counter medications like Tylenol, has been found to reduce physical and social pain. Acetaminophen and marijuana both affect cannabinoid 1 receptors, or CB1 receptors, in the brain, and both drugs are used to treat physical pain. The first study found marijuana users who reported being lonely had higher levels of self-worth and mental health than non-marijuana users who also reported being lonely. The second study found that those who used marijuana relatively frequently and experienced social pain were less likely to experience a major depressive episode during the past 12 months. The third study found that marijuana use predicted lower levels of depression among students who were lonely. For students who were not lonely, however, marijuana had little impact on depression. The fourth and final study found marijuana users had a smaller decrease in self-esteem. Some on the Washington, D.C. City Council plan to ease penalties for having marijuana, from the Washington Post. Some D.C. Council members are crafting legislation to lessen penalties for marijuana possession, hoping to settle the matter before outside groups petition the issue onto the ballot. Marion Barry, Democrat from Ward 8, and Tommy Wells, Democrat from Ward 6, who as chairman of the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee would shepherd the legislation, are formulating a proposal to eliminate criminal penalties for those caught with small amounts of cannabis or subject offenders to fines. Wells and Barry said they will introduce the bill as early as this summer. Meanwhile, Anita Bonds, Democrat at large, also is considering a measure to decriminalize marijuana or reduce penalties for possession. The initiatives would be debated by Wells' committee. Steve Fox of the Marijuana Policy Project said advocates may seek a referendum on the matter in the district as early as November 2014. A recent poll of district voters commissioned by the group and the Drug Policy Alliance, which support decriminalizing marijuana, found broad backing for decriminalizing or legalizing the drug. Under city law, possession of up to a half pound of marijuana is punishable by up to 180 days and a $1,000 fine on a first offense. Washington State set to release draft rules for marijuana industry, from King5.com. The Liquor Control Board is releasing preliminary draft rules Thursday afternoon. The board is tasked with deciding everything from how pot should be grown and labeled to how it's tested for quality assurance. But some of the most interesting questions, such as how much marijuana will be grown and how many retail stores will be licensed, aren't likely to be answered yet. That's because the state's official pot consultant is still working to estimate marijuana consumption in Washington. Washington State medical marijuana availability could jinx recreational pot market, from Huffington Post. Key officials helping to create Washington State's potentially lucrative recreational pot market say its success may hinge on preventing consumers from choosing to get high on readily available medical cannabis because of low and sometimes non-existent taxes on it. The officials say it may be necessary to raise taxes or impose more stringent rules on medical pot to avoid undercutting the new recreational market and the tax dollars it is expected to inject into state coffers. Many patients, they say,
are in reality heavy recreational users who fake or exploit their maladies. Officials in Colorado, which also has medical marijuana, have said the overwhelmingly male and relatively young demographics of their patient population line up with statistics for recreational consumers of the drug. Because the medical marijuana industry in Washington state exists in a legal gray area, many storefronts selling the drug pay no taxes, while the recreational industry faces a voter-approved mandate to tax the drug at a rate of 75%, in addition to state taxes and local sales taxes. Mark Kleiman, the state's pot czar, says many people treated as patients are actually recreational users. Most pot will likely continue to be consumed by a minority of price-conscious, heavy consumers, so their ability to buy significantly cheaper medical cannabis will make it harder for the recreational market to take hold. One approach, he said, was to raise taxes on medical marijuana. Another, quote, would be limiting medical marijuana to people who are actually sick, end quote. This has been your 420 Radio News for Thursday, May 16th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines and take a look at Representative Lou Lang's medical marijuana bill in the state of Illinois and a warning as to why this should not become the national model he wants it to be. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org. Let him bring in the beat.
You still don't get it, do you? Alright, let me make this as clear as I possibly can. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Jive, marry, grifo, grass, hay. Technically, it's cannabis sativa, the common name, marijuana. She has found a crutch to see her through her difficulties instead of facing up to them and coping with them. And in time, she may be ready to try something different, something better.
Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Welcome back. Time for us to go behind the headlines. And for today's report, we're taking a look at Representative Lou Lang of Illinois, whose medical marijuana bill is poised for passage in the state of Illinois. And a recent article that he and another co-sponsor of the bill penned in the St. Louis paper, got this online, talking to the people of Missouri about how this bill would be a model medical marijuana bill for the rest of the states, assuming, Missouri as well. And this bill fulfills the predictions that I made all the way back in 2009, 2010, when I first started promulgating the Box Canyon theory of medical marijuana. Simply put, if you fight only for medical marijuana, you'll end up only with cannabinoid pharmaceuticals. By engaging the debate as an issue about why you use marijuana, you have to accede to an arbiter of why. You have to allow for an authority to determine your medical necessity, to see if you're qualified or allowed to have your right to use marijuana. Now, this has led opponents of marijuana rights to attack the medical marijuana fight by enforcing the medical part of it. Medical means doctors are the arbiters of why. Medical means specific drugs at specific dosages at specific times. Medical means dealing with threats to health and livelihood. So in response, medical marijuana laws have been crafted with greater restrictions to ensure that the right people are covered and the wrong people are excluded. The last 7 jurisdictions, that's 6 states and Washington, D.C., that have passed medical marijuana laws in the 2010s have all refused the right of medical marijuana patients to grow their own plants at home. Now, to be fair, Arizona will allow it if you're more than 25 miles away from a dispensary, and Massachusetts will allow a hardship exemption under certain limited circumstances. In fact, New Jersey became the first state to require not just patients, but doctors to register in a tracking database with the state, and limited the plant varieties to 3 and the THC content to 10% for medical use. Now, it's not as if the reformers want to restrict patients' grow rights. It's just that given the frame of medical and the perception that recreational users widely abuse medical marijuana laws out west, these are the only laws they can get passed. Remember, most of the East doesn't have citizen ballot initiatives. These bills must go through the legislature, where law enforcement and prison lobbies are pretty well connected and they carry a lot of political power. The medical marijuana bill pending in Illinois is the inevitable manifestation of the Box Canyon theory. Representative Lang, in his glowing recommendation of the bill as a national model for other states to follow, wrote this, quote, "The proposed legislation does not amount to a reckless full-scale legalization of marijuana. Hands-off policies in other states have resulted in a proliferation of thousands of ubiquitous and problematic medical marijuana storefront dispensaries. In states like California and Colorado, consumers have found ways to gain legal access to marijuana for recreational use instead of legitimate medical illnesses." Well, let's be clear, Representative Lang. In states like all 50 of them, marijuana consumers have found ways to gain access to marijuana. I wonder if he realizes that what he wrote was basically saying, in states like California and Colorado, medical marijuana laws have made it more difficult to punish healthy people with fines and cages for pot. In addition to not allowing the people of Illinois to grow their own medicinal herbs, Representative Lang's bill would ensure that no patient ever gets more than 2.5 ounces in a 2-week period, with purchases from one of 60 dispensaries tracked to the gram, indexed to both the patient and the doctor. Not because having too much pot might lead to a patient overdose. We all know you can't overdose on pot, right? No, it's to ensure that, once again, no extra marijuana might make it into the hands of the healthy people, at least through a legitimate source. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty to be found on the streets of Chicago. Boy, it's a good thing that the only truly desperately sick people will get their 5 ounces a month, because why would they ever need much more than that to make, say, tinctures or edibles or hash? Plus, it's not just up to the doctor to determine if you're sick enough to avoid being caged for marijuana in Illinois. The state gets to verify not just your paperwork, but your medical records too. This is from Representative Lang, quote, "The patient's medical history would be turned over to the Illinois Department of Public Health, which would conduct background checks and issue the patient an ID card only if it verifies the information. Convicted felons would be prohibited from obtaining an ID card. Because, fuck felons. It's not like they ever get cancer, HIV, or AIDS, or multiple sclerosis, and they could benefit from marijuana. If they wanted to use an effective medicine in the event of their devastating illness or disability, why, they should have never committed a felony. Like growing a pot plant before medical marijuana laws existed so they could treat their cancer, HIV, AIDS, or multiple sclerosis. It is time for us on the West Coast to begin to flip this frame to all use is none. It doesn't matter why you use marijuana. It doesn't matter how harmful or harmless it is. It matters only that you are a free adult who's been given the right to alter your consciousness with booze, cigarettes, caffeine, over-the-counter remedies, and prescription remedies, and there is no legitimate reason to allow people to use those things to get high and forbid us from using marijuana. Makes no logical sense whatsoever.
It did not make sense. I'm telling you.
This is an 8-foot tall Wookiee.
He's a Wookiee.
Why would he be living on a planet with a bunch of 3-foot tall Ewoks?
The glove does not fit. You must have quit.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man?
We'll be right back with some Groovin' Thursday tunes and a little Bago Schwago.
Reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit MarijuanaIsSafer.com.
I like it like that.
Well, I don't know what you came to do, but what we came to keep the funk alive.
That's right, baby. We're keeping the funk alive right here at Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Ring, your groovy home of soul, funk, and disco. So join me, Big Daddy, every Thursday night at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific at the Funky Roller Ring, where every night is Saturday night.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Groovin' Thursday, featuring rap, hip-hop, soul, and funk music. You can get downloads and more information about all our Daily Toker Tunes by visiting music.radicalruss.com. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
Welcome back, everybody. Time for some Groovin' Thursday music, courtesy of our editor, Bago Schwago, who has sent me this track from an artist named Cal E, or it's Cal E831, I think. I think that's the area code. Could be. Anyway, the song is called Doja Boy, and we will get our own Bago Schwago on the line here to tell us all about it. What's happening, Bago?
What's up, man? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I got the photo of Cal E up on the screen, and he looks lifted.
Yeah, and actually it's kind of funny. A lot of his songs are very 420 friendly, so I think he very well might be lifted in that photo.
Yeah, very, very well could be. Did you get any information on his background?
You know, I found a little bit about him. His name is Cali. His real name's Octavio Hernandez. As of the profile update I could find, he said he was 18 years old. That was in 2011, so maybe he's, 20, 21, somewhere around there now. He's actually out of Salinas, California. He said his influences are Tupac, Biggie, Daz Dillinger, Snoop, Ice Cube. This song is called Doja Boy. I decided to go with this one today. It's definitely a little more rap-oriented for sure. Got a good beat. And Free the Weed was really digging it when I let him hear it earlier. So.
All right. Well, FTW cubed. Free the weed, free the weed, free the weed. Here you go. This is Cali 831 with Doja Boy. Talk to you later, Bago.
Later, man.
Doja boy to town. Need a purple bitch with me for when these hoes come around. Oh, clouds and clouds of that purple shit now. Keep it 20 sack, boy, we need that shit by the ounce. Doja boy to city, Doja boy to town. Need a purple bitch with me for when these hoes come around. Ooh, clouds and clouds of that purple shit now. Keep it 20 sack, boy, we need that shit by the ounce. Pull up, hold up, hey homie, what that smell? Somebody smoking that shit, hey dog, what the hell? Smell like dank in this bitch, I know that smell well. Perp smell so strong, every sugar won't even help. Got money, yeah, all we need is a connect. Been on the hunt for a minute, but we ain't found shit yet. But fuck it, we ain't gon' stop till we hit the block. Where the Doja boys stay, I posted up serving knocks. They say X marks the spot, Swiss I can feel those with little bit of trees. Give me a half hour and who the fuck knows where I'll be. Well, I know where I'll be on the moon, walking like Neil Armstrong. Feel like I'm up for rent, probably feel like this all night long. And if not, then that means that the supply of whack. Why not hide no more? Give me my drug money back so I can get a cab and head back to the pad. You looking for the Doja boy, don't trip, I think I know where he at. Follow Doja boy, the city, Doja boy, the town. Need a purple bitch with me for when these hoes come around. Ooh, clouds and clouds of that purple shit now. Keep it 20 sack, boy, we need that shit by the ounce. Doja boy, the city, Doja boy, the town. Need a purple bitch with me for when these hoes come around. Ooh, clouds and clouds of that purple shit now. Keep it 20 sack, boy, we need that shit by the ounce. Pull up to the scene, pockets full of green. No, not bud, but shit, I wish I was talking about weed. That's all I need, a swisher and some purple candy. Shit, I don't know about you, but me, I usually keep it handy. But right now, it's all out, we already smoked it all. But I'ma make a phone call, get some more, and that's for sure. What you need, get a jug, not get an 8. But that's only because I left the rest of the cash back at the place. Damn, what we do for the bud got me coming back for more, cause I can't get enough. Never loved a bitch so much, but Mary Jane is different. Got the blunt in rotation, but some hoes will be missing. But fuck it, we ain't gon' stop, pause and fuck up the rotation. Don't know exactly what I'm smoking, but it's something amazing. Then right, it's amazing, now my eyes getting lazy. And the whole car looking like the Asian persuasion. Doja boy, the city, Doja boy, the town. Need a purple bitch with me for when these hoes come around. Ooh, clouds and clouds of that purple shit now. Keep it 20 sack, boy, we need that shit by the ounce. Doja boy, the city, Doja boy, the town. Need a purple bitch with me for when these hoes come around. Ooh, clouds and clouds of that purple shit now. Keep it 20 sack, boy, we need that shit by the ounce. Doja boy, the city, Doja boy, the town. Need a purple bitch with me for when these hoes come around. Ooh, clouds and clouds of that purple shit now. Keep it 20 sack, boy, we need that shit by the ounce. Doja boy, the city, Doja boy, the town. Need a purple bitch with me for when these hoes come around. Ooh, clouds and clouds of that purple shit now. Keep it 20 sack, boy, we need that shit by the ounce.
So, Sarah, what's going on here? Sarah? Sarah?
She won't answer you. Or she can't.
Why not?
This is the way it's been since she started smoking pot. She's all lazy and boring and... You know, we used to have so much fun together.
And now?
This is what we do.
Greatest threats to liberty has been the government taking people's liberty for things that people are in favor of. The Pew Research Group shows that 52% of Americans think marijuana should not be illegal. And yet there are people in jail, and your Justice Department is continuing to put people in jail for sale and use, on occasion, of marijuana. That's something the American public has finally caught up with. It was a cultural lag, and it's been an injustice for 40 years in this country to take people's liberty for something that was similar to alcohol. You have continued what is allowing the Mexican cartels power and the power to make money, ruin Mexico, hurt our country by having a prohibition in the late 20th and 21st century. We saw it didn't work in this country in the 20s. We remedied it. This is the time to remedy this prohibition. And I would hope you would do.
Activism begins with ACT. The Russ Belville Show features the stories of hardworking grassroots activists working for an end to prohibition in today's activist agenda.
We've been covering the CPS story. Now Reason TV gets involved with their coverage of Daisy Bram.
Little baby Invictus is lying here sleeping with a smile on his face, and I kiss him and smell him. And I tell Thor, I'm sorry, but I'll come for you. And then I let him have it.
A few years ago, Daisy Bram, her partner Jamie Walsh, and their son Thor moved from Iowa to California. They made the move in part because California is a medical marijuana state.
We ended up in Butte County just kind of happenstance. Found a nice little mountain home in Concow, which is like this unincorporated little mountain town. And planted our little vegetable garden and planted our little cannabis garden, had all our paperwork in order.
Growing medical marijuana is common in Northern California, especially in places like Butte County, where medical marijuana dispensaries aren't allowed.
Zeus was born on September 1st. Right there in the bathtub, I delivered him, and it was great, and the sun was shining.
A few weeks after the birth of Zeus, Butte County sheriffs showed up at Bram and Walsh's door.
And I'm nursing my 28-day-old Zeus and my 15-month-old Thor, and I hear bang, 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 bang.
Daisy, what you're under arrest for is cultivation of marijuana and possession of marijuana for sale.
She don't cultivate.
Okay.
She ain't got nothing.
Oh, and that's another charge, is child endangerment on yours. I forgot that. You have the 3. So, okay?
Bram and Walsh's 2 young boys were taken by Child Protective Services and placed in foster care for 4 months.
Daisy Bram's case is unique because she's being charged with child endangerment by virtue of having grown marijuana or being present where marijuana was being grown.
Michael Levinson, an attorney who specializes in medical marijuana cases, is representing Bram pro bono.
I don't believe that the numbers of plants or the ways in which they were being grown exceed reasonable expectations for medical use.
30-some plants that you find in the backyard. If we were really criminals, would we grow pot in our yard for everybody and their mother to see it? I don't know. The CPS case closes on us in July, and everything's just fine, and Jamie and I are just kind of living our life. September 18th comes, and our 3rd son, Invictus, is born. And
late in 2012, with their Butte County cases still unresolved, Bram and Walsh decided to move to neighboring Tehama County.
I find this beautiful little spread on the river, and oh my goodness, Jamie loves to fish, and I've got 3 boys. I mean, could you find a better spot? Orchard in the front yard, look at all this space, and it just seems too good to be true.
In January of this year, Tehama County sheriffs raided Bram and Walsh's new home. This time, they found a cannabis garden in a locked room off the back of the house.
There were 50 cannabis plants, about 12 inches high. And so that's their, they're all excited. So they're tearing through the house, and becomes very quickly evident that we're both going to be arrested and the kids are going to be taken again.
For the second time in less than 2 years, Bram and Walsh were charged with cultivation of marijuana, possession with intent to sell, and child abuse. And, once again, their children were taken by Child Protective Services.
I don't know, I just hope that someday they can forgive me. And they know how much I love them.
Walsh is in jail with bail set at $1 million. Bram is out on bail, and in February she went to a family court hearing in Tehama County. As Bram was leaving the courthouse, an investigator from the district attorney's office approached her car.
And he reaches in and turns off the engine and says, "Get out." And I'm like, "Oh, they're rearresting me. Awesome." He says, "I'm taking the vehicle. I'll stand over there." And I said, "What do you mean you're taking the vehicle?" He says, "This car was purchased with the illegal sale of narcotics." I'm like, "What?" I pull out 3 car seats and all my personal effects while he's taking pictures, and the social workers and everybody's coming out of court. I'm just mortified. And they get in the car and they leave.
I highly doubt they're ever going to be able to resell it for anything close to what it cost them to grab it. And I think that they also knew that was just one thing they could do to Daisy. They could take that car and really, really turn her life into a real hassle.
I'm scared of him. You win. I'm scared.
For now, Bram and Walsh are in a state of limbo, awaiting future court dates while their children remain in foster care.
I've only seen my children, a total of 4 hours supervised since they were taken. And every time I've seen them, they're in worse shape they were the time before. I taught them sign language, and they're forgetting all that. They're not being fed properly. They're not being clothed. They're not being taken care of at all. My children are so angry with me, they won't come near me. They won't touch me. They won't barely look at me. They won't use any of their signs. They refuse to say mommy or mama or anything.
There is just nothing worse. There's nothing worse that someone can be accused of than doing something to harm their own children. And if someone from the government is going to come after someone and make that accusation, they better have the ammunition ready to go.
I'd gotten a phone call when I came out of family court on Friday that they were going to move the babies because the foster parents didn't want them anymore. They'd gotten hurt, and the case was too much publicity and high profile, and my demands for their care with the organic, holistic, natural stuff was too much, and they just didn't want them anymore. Did I know of anywhere they could go? Yeah, home with their mama.
Daisy Bram has received significant support from the medical marijuana community. Her story is important because it highlights a key question in the ongoing debate surrounding marijuana policy. Are people who grow and use cannabis fit to be parents?
The prosecution was really never able to establish through scientific evidence that the mere presence of raw cannabis is dangerous to anyone's health, let alone a child.
I suppose to some degree, you want to make sure that everything your children have access to is absolutely positively okay for them. Then no one should ever have alcohol or any cleaning products or cords that kids could trip over. I mean, we live on the Sacramento River, and while it's beautiful and great, does that not present a drowning hazard?
She does not deserve to be accused of doing anything to harm her children because she has never done such a thing and never will.
You know when you're good at something, and I'm good at being a mother, because I love it.
Kudos to Reason TV for taking that on. The video is available at reason.tv, and I encourage you all to spread it around to as many of your social networks as you can, because this is one of the weapons they use to fight us and to fight the fact that we're winning hearts and minds. They can intimidate us, they can take our children, and you'll do anything to keep your children. This is just the worst atrocity of the drug war, and we won't stop until it ends. Stick around. When we come back, we're going to take a look at so-called marijuana withdrawal.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
okay?
The Russ Belville Show reminds you to never smoke and drive impaired. Hang out for a while. Share.
I think we're parked.
Take a little trip. Take a little trip.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 1920s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stopped arresting responsible marijuana smokers. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical rant.
On yesterday's show, I took some time to debunk Dr. Christian Thurstone and his reefer madness, and I took him into hour 2, doing a little look at the marijuana withdrawal, and I wanted to come back to that for today's rant for the people who are hour 1 subscribers. And it had to do with this statement that Dr. Christian Thurstone, again, one of the leading rehabbers in Denver, had this to say, quote, "I don't think in the mainstream scientific world of addiction that there's debate anymore that it's addictive. It works on the same part of the brain as all other addictive substances, and there's an animal model of marijuana addiction now. We know that it's not just psychologically addictive, but physically addictive. And studies by Dr. Alan Budney at Dartmouth have characterized a physical addiction to marijuana. Marijuana withdrawal is clinically equivalent to tobacco withdrawal, and anecdotally..." Yes, I know. Marijuana withdrawal is clinically equivalent to tobacco withdrawal, and anecdotally, in our experience, we see adolescents coming into treatment extremely addicted to marijuana. They're dropping out of life, giving up on school and families to pursue their marijuana addiction. Really? You want to stick with the whole marijuana withdrawal is clinically equivalent to tobacco withdrawal, huh? Really? Do you know any cigarette smokers who've tried to quit? I know a lot of marijuana smokers who've tried to quit. They have to. They have to stop for a while to try to pass a P test for a job, or, they're going someplace, they're traveling somewhere where marijuana smoking is inconvenient or highly illegal, and they just stop. They go to these places and they stop. It's just no big deal. Tommy Chong of all people, quit smoking pot for 3 years. You'd like to have some pot. But if you don't get any, it's like, well, I'll get some when I get some. It's no big deal. So, you know me, I tend to look stuff up. And he mentioned this Dr. Alan Budney. Yes, guy who researches marijuana named Budney. Okay, so Dr. Alan Budney at Dartmouth. And I decided to take a look at his research. And you can do this too, folks. Just go to Google and type in PubMed, P-U-B-M-E-D, PubMed. It's the National Institute of Health's publications medical database, basically. Anything that's been published for peer review, it's gone through the National Institute of Health, is available there. Now, you can't usually get the whole thing. There's like a subscription. You can subscribe to it and get the whole thing, but you can at least get the abstracts and the conclusions, which usually tell you a whole lot. So going to that, I took a look at Budney's research, and prior to 1999, I didn't find him doing much research on marijuana withdrawal. He was doing a lot of studies on cocaine dependence in the 1990s. And I would theorize here that, looking back from the age of Reagan, when Reagan was in power, the whole crack cocaine scare was a big deal, and they were funneling a lot of grant money into cocaine studies. And I imagine by the time the grant money makes it through the pipeline and everything, it hits in the 90s. So I can see why he'd be doing cocaine work, because that's where the money was. As we get into the 2000s, of course, with 1996 passing medical marijuana, the federal government needs all the ammunition it can bear against the popularity of allowing cancer patients to use marijuana. So that's where the money flows in the studies and the research grants. At that point, 1999, we start getting this marijuana withdrawal research from Dr. Alan Budney. So here's the path of this. In 1999, he studied 54 people seeking marijuana rehab, and he had them answer a 22-question quiz, which is basically, it's the marijuana withdrawal symptom checklist that he invented, that was modified from a scale that he had used to research cocaine and tobacco dependence. Because, drugs are drugs, right? All right, so from there, that started the ball rolling as far as, there might be something here, something I can get some more grant money from. So in 2001, he observed 12 pot smokers, 12 pot smokers who smoked for 5 days and then quit for 3 days and then smoked again for 5 days and then quit again for 3 days, right? The idea here is the first 5 days you get your baseline. This is how they feel when they answer these questions, this little questionnaire. Then you make them quit and you make them answer the questionnaire. And then you let them smoke again and answer the questionnaire. And then you make them quit again and answer the questionnaire. And then you can compare, did it move, did it change, what's the statistical significance, and so forth. So, from these 12 people, what he determined was that there was a strong association that those who were in marijuana withdrawal had withdrawal discomfort, craving for marijuana, decreased appetite, and sleep difficulty. Now, I actually have the data. You know me, I like to look stuff up, and I like to show it to you. So this is the actual data, one of the tables from Budney's information, the ratings for the marijuana withdrawal checklist. And there's also, you can see baseline 1, abstinence 1, baseline 2, abstinence 2, right? That's, when they were smoking, when they weren't smoking, right? Strong evidence, moderate evidence, weak or no evidence, based on the various symptoms and the ratings that they got on a 0 to 3 point scale. So you can look that up. It's on my Pinterest account. It's also attached to this post on radicalruss.com if you want to look at that for yourself. But I'll summarize this for you. They found the strong association of marijuana withdrawal. There was withdrawal discomfort, craving for marijuana, decreased appetite, and sleep difficulty. That sounds kind of scary, except when you look at the actual data. When the pot smokers quit the first time, the abstinence 1, their withdrawal discomfort ranked a total of 8.8. Oh no. God, that sounds awful. 8.8 on a scale of 1 to 10? No, folks. 8.8 on a scale of 1 to 30. This is a 30-point scale, right? So they didn't even crest 10 on a 30-point scale. 8.8 was how awful and how uncomfortable it was to be without marijuana. 8.8 on a 30-point scale. Now, for my cigarette smoking friends out there, if you've ever tried to quit and you've had to quit for 3 days straight, could you rate your discomfort on a scale of 0 to 30? And just let me know in the chat room if that's, anywhere near 8.8. I don't know. I've never smoked tobacco, so I don't know. Now, for the rest of the symptoms, when you take a look at all the symptoms of withdrawal that they made them rank, and they had them rank, craving for marijuana, and, did it make you have a fever? Did you get sweaty? Did you have tremors? Any of those kind of things, right? The symptoms that ranked the worst, when they ranked these symptoms, they got to rank them on a scale of 4, basically. 0 was none, like no tremors at all. 1, mild. You got mild tremors. 2, moderate. Oh, I got moderate tremors. And 3, severe. Oh, I got severe tremors. So out of that ranking scale, craving for marijuana, the worst symptom, Didn't even break moderate. It came in at 1.9. Decreased appetite came in at 0.9. Sleep difficulty, 1.1. Irritability, 1.2. Strange dreams, 0.9. Nervousness, 0.8. And restlessness, 0.8. Are all barely mild. I had mild sleep difficulty. That's your marijuana withdrawal syndrome. I had mild nervousness. And the physical symptoms, when you started, tremors and sweating and fever and all that, barely cleared 0.5, if at all. Some of them were 0.1. Yeah, statistically not even in the ballpark, right? So half mild on the physical symptoms. So it seems that this withdrawal that we're talking about is somewhere between mild and moderate for some people. And remember, this study was on 12 people. Also, I got to question whether or not you can even call some of this withdrawal. When someone rates that they're having a 1.1, a mild reaction with sleep difficulty, or a 0.9, for decreased appetite, are those really withdrawal symptoms? I mean, we don't call it withdrawal if a crippled man stumbles when you steal his crutches. We call it cruelty. How many of these marijuana users are consuming cannabis to treat those conditions, like insomnia or anger management or depression or anxiety or attention deficit or whatever? If so, should we be any more surprised that when you take pot away from a insomniac, that they have difficulty sleeping? Should that be any more surprising than, we take an antidepressant away from a depressed person and, oh no, they got depressed. Well, they're having antidepressant withdrawals. No. You took their medicine away. So Budney continues this research. Now, that was back in 2001, right? 2001, we've set up that there's this mild withdrawal in some psychological symptoms for a few people that use marijuana. Okay. So based on all of this, by 2006, Budney's got this established that there's this cannabis withdrawal syndrome. So how would a medical professional think about dealing with a syndrome that's so devastating that most of its users rate most of its symptoms as mild? Hold on to your hats, people. Give them a Marinol pill. Seriously, I shit you not. In 2007, Dr. Alan Budney researched whether giving people oral synthetic THC might help wean them off marijuana by alleviating the cannabis withdrawal syndrome. Budney summarizes the results as follows, quote, "The lower dose of THC reduced withdrawal discomfort, and the higher dose produced additional suppressions in withdrawal symptoms that such symptom ratings did not differ from the smoking as usual conditions. Minimal adverse effects were associated with either active dose of THC." End quote. Whoa! What do you know? When you give someone a high-dose THC pill, they report the same effect as smoking as usual. Whoa! How much grant money did you get to figure that one out? Oh, the other nice thing to figure out, THC in a pill form gives you minimal adverse effects. Good thing that the people don't get addicted to THC when it's in a pill form, or else we'd have to let them smoke pot to alleviate Marinol withdrawal syndrome. Jeez. All right, so that's the look at Budney's research. You can find all of this. I've got the links to the actual studies and everything up at my blog at radicalruss.com. And we've got a little time here left for me to debunk a couple of other things from that Dr. Christian Thurstone. One of the things he says, and I love hearing this one. This is a quote from Thurstone. "We know that there's been an increase from about 2% THC a couple of decades ago to more like 10% THC now. And in Colorado, it's probably even higher than that." Yeah. Couple decades ago. You remember that awesome 2% THC weed we were smoking when Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre dropped Doggy Style? Yeah. I remember rolling down the street, smoking ditch weed, sipping on near beer. Yeah, laid back. with my mind on my money and my money on my mind. Oh my God. All right. One more. This one's from, also from Thurstone. I work with adolescents and young adults, so for pretty much 99% of my patients, marijuana is still illegal. Amendment 64 didn't really change anything in terms of their legal status, and fewer than half of our referrals are court-referred. The majority are not. And that was him rebutting my stats from TEDS A, the treatment episode data set, which is the data set of publicly funded rehab centers, which represents 58% of all rehabs total. Okay. And in that data set of publicly funded rehabs, it's a 4-to-1 ratio. 4 people sent there by the court for every 1 person who chose to go to marijuana rehab. Just for marijuana. We're not including other drugs or alcohol. 4-to-1 ratio. Now, when Thurstone says that fewer than half are referred to the court to his private rehab, I trust that. Because private rehabs cost more money. You got to be a suburban family with some nice insurance to be able to get your kid into Dr. Thurstone's rehab when you catch him with a baggie of weed. So, yeah, I believe that, but when you say fewer than half are court-referred, I'm going to imagine that that number's got to be somewhere between 40 and 49%, because if it was somewhere in the third area, you'd have said less than a third. If it was somewhere around a quarter, you'd have said less than a quarter. So let's say 40% of your patients are sent there by the court. That would be 2 court-referred people for every 3 people that are choosing to go to your rehab. You can't afford to lose those 2 court-referred people and continue to pay for your kids' college funds. I've actually done the math. If the ratios work out from public to private equally, then you would have to have 9 self-referrals for every 2 court referrals in the private sector just to balance it out, just to make it a 1-to-1 ratio. Nobody should be forced to go to a rehab for their use of drugs unless that use of drugs has led them to do a criminal activity, like theft, like assault, like, harming other people. Harming yourself, and I'm not saying using marijuana is harming yourself, is not a crime. Hey, for Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. We'll be here for hour 2, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it.